Joining me now is Nationals MP Michael McCormack. Michael, welcome to the program.
Thanks, James.
Will David Littleproud still be leading the Nationals this time next Monday?
Yes, he will. Yes, he will. David has the numbers. And I appreciate it's very messy, but as that famous political philosopher Katy Perry said, it's never really over. The coalition will hopefully get back together and we will move on. As I say, I'm in Victoria at the moment and people have lost their homes through the fires. In Queensland, they've had mud sweeping through from the floods to their homes. And we've got mortgage holders now facing the prospect of having to pay $2,192 more because of the inflation situation. We've got people feeling not secure, not safe, and across the country, and we've got a cost of living crisis. And we're talking about ourselves. James, it's not good enough. It has to stop. Let's get this spill or spills out of the way. Let's let the two leaders have cool heads, get together and get the coalition back on track.
You mentioned that great political philosopher, Katy Perry. The other political philosopher that I'm fond of, I think it was Miley Cyrus, who said, "I came in like a wrecking ball," which would seem to be pretty apt at the moment for the coalition as well.
Yeah, good comeback.
You say that David Littleproud will be the leader after the spill. Does that mean you'll be supporting David Littleproud?
Well, look, I will support the leader. And I appreciate that there's been a lot of things go wrong. There's been quite a few missteps. There's fault on both sides. But I do sheet the blame home to Labor for putting in rushed legislation last week. Anthony Albanese must be just sitting back, grinning like a Cheshire cat with what's now gone on. But they were the ones who put gun reform into the Parliament, gave us an hour and a quarter to debate it, and then 99 minutes to debate a hate speech legislation, which was vastly changed from the legislation which went to the shadow cabinet on the Sunday night.
But, and when sorry to interrupt, Michael. Sorry to interrupt. Please forgive me. But aren't you simply saying that Anthony Albanese is a much better politician than your leader?
Oh, look, Labor will always be better at the politics and not very good at the policy. We're the opposite way around. Sometimes we are hopeless at the politics, but we do have people's good intentions at heart, and we do have the economic fortunes of the country first and foremost. And you can't just always play politics. Labor has again played politics over a very serious and sad situation with Bondi, and they have. And I have to say, whatever they brought into the Parliament and rushed through the Parliament last week, I really doubt whether it's going to have a huge difference with anti-Semitism. I voted for the hate speech bill because I wanted to see the end of Hutz Tut Turia and the National Socialist Network, and thankfully it looks as though they may well be subject to this legislation. They will be outlawed. And that was the only legislation towards that. But the protest will continue, and that will provide more hate speech. And unless our magistrates are going to stop these protests, the violent protests where they're throwing rocks and spitting at police and all that sort of thing, it's going to continue.
So on that point, Michael, why don't you put your hand up for the leadership? You've been there before and you were smart enough to vote with the Liberals in that vote. You get the politics. Why don't you put your own hand up?
Well, because David's the leader, I just want the issue resolved and I want the coalition back together. Look, I had my turn, and look, if circumstances were different and enough members came to me and said, "Michael, we want you back as the leader," well, I'd consider it. But David's the leader. He's been duly elected by the party after the election, which is the due convention, and he's got the support in the room. Now, good on Colin. Colin's a boilermaker by trade. He's worked across central and regional Queensland. He's been a local government member. He's been in state politics in the Queensland Parliament. He brings a wealth of experience to Canberra. And I appreciate it's his opportunity to put his name forward, and good luck to him. In a democratic party that we are, we allow that. But David has the numbers, and I think David will be the leader continuing on after next week. I just want him to get back to the Liberals and make sure that we get the reunification of the coalition, because if we let that go for too long, it is going to be disastrous. And it is going to be disastrous on a whole number of fronts.
You're right. If you let it go too long, it's a disaster. But if you make up, in the next little while, it'll just look silly. People will ask, why did you break up in the first place? Just quickly before I let you go, a new poll out yesterday has One Nation within 5% of Labor's primary vote and has Pauline Hanson well ahead of Susan Lee as preferred Prime Minister. So clearly Australians like her. But here's what you said about Senator Hanson on Sky this morning.
Well, it's easy to throw out the barbs when things are going wrong, and Pauline is very good at that. She knows how to draw attention and to get the publicity.
Is reducing Pauline Hanson to an attention seeker really the way to win back voters who've drifted to One Nation?
Well, I'm certainly not saying that she's an attention seeker, but you look at One Nation over the time that they've been in, Pauline Hanson over the time that she's been. Has she, as Matt Canavan says, has she actually built anything? Has she put any bitumen on the roads? Has she built any healthcare clinics? Has she indeed done anything of that sort? She has been a politician who has very much found fault with what either side is doing. And when you've got a lot of dissatisfaction out in the community with politicians of major parties not talking about the bread and butter issues, someone like Pauline Hanson fills that void. 1,500 people were polled out of 18.133 million eligible voters. And look, we have to take it seriously. Absolutely we do. But we have to, as coalition members, get back to the issues of Mr and Mrs Average. And the issues that they're concerned about are putting food on the table, being able to pay the energy
Absolutely.
bill. That's what we should be talking about. For God's sake, I hope after next week we are.
You and me both, Michael McCormack. You and me both. Thanks for joining me.